Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring our top right-hand side from Guns and Roaches, our gold Zerg Fish. He is gold in more ways than one. He's yellow right here, but he's also gold in League. And his opponent, his teammate in the bottom left-hand side, also from Guns and Roaches, is Soul, our red Terran, also gold League. This is game 2 of the best of 3. Terran versus Zerg, this time on Overgrowth. Last game we saw Soul pull off some really nice classical Terran aggression with a lot of drops, a lot of marine heavy play, got some early upgrades, and really abused the high mobility inherent to the Terran. And Fish did a really good job too. I mean, he had a lot of Zerglings out on the field. His economy was booming. However, Soul ultimately in the end managed to just barely eke out a win. So right now Soul is up by one over his teammate Fish, and we'll see if Fish is capable of pulling out a comeback and take this to game number 3. I'm not 100% sure if this is the end of it or not. I honestly did not check to see if there is a game 3. I could turn my head to the right like 20 degrees and actually, see if there's a third game, but I'm not going to because I want to experience this with you. And it looks like Soul is going to be keeping his, if it's not broke, don't fix it. His build order is fine. His build order was fine last time. It's going to be fine this time. He's got refinery being built just a couple seconds after the barracks was thrown down. Going to be finishing up a couple seconds before the barracks finishes. Going to be able to get just enough gas to pop out that Reaper, get a nice scout of his Zerg opponent. And this time, Fish doesn't have two different spawn locations. There's not 3 spawn locations on the map. He's going to know exactly where Soul spawns, so he's going to be able to be a little bit more aggressive if he wants to. We don't see any early gas, but we do see a spawning pool. Oh, no. Yeah, spawning pool right before the hatchery gets thrown down. Is this an adaptation to the early Reaper aggression we saw in the last game? I'm not 100% sure. Oh, it looks like a teammate. Okay, cool. So yeah, this must be like the whole clan is observing everybody else play. That's cool. I like that. I like that community. I do like that community. But is this an adaptation in Fish's build order because of the early aggression that Soul had from that Reaper? He did manage to lose a single drone in that aggression. So, with that early spawning pool, early handful of Zerglings is going to be able to deal with that. And in turn, we do not see a Reaper coming out from Soul. We saw that, he did immediately transition to the factory just like last time, but what is he going to do with that early gas? He doesn't really need to scout out, maybe because he knows where his opponent is going to be, maybe because he thinks he can do it with just this Marine, maybe because he didn't have to deal with early aggression from Fish last time. Only the Lord knows. However, we know that with that early hatchery coming down, going to be finishing up in just a couple of seconds, we don't have a massive swell of Zerglings. We do see the 100 gases approaching, and we're going to be able to start on that Zergling speed in just a couple of seconds for Fish, and we're really going to be able to see that divergent in the Zerg build order. Is he going to, throw down 4 different gases and rush towards a spire, or is he going to, work towards that third base, or maybe something in between with a balance of aggression and macro? Regardless, we see a starport immediately after that factory. No add-on to the factory, so it's not going to be something crazy like some Banshees coming out. And the Zergling does get picked down by the Marines, but we don't see any add-on at all, and we still only have a single gas. Tells me it's going to be more of a bio play than something tech-related. Obviously, that factory is a little bit delayed just because we didn't see a gas first or anything like that, but oftentimes you can have the added comfort of having this barracks and this factory cranking out just a couple of units. Then you can transition to something more tech-heavy. However, with the absence of a second gas, we can see that the CC is going to be going down. He is going to be playing a little bit more economic, relying more on the Marines than anything else. No upgrades at all to speak of for the Terran player just yet. And that really means that the aggression, the ball is going to be in Fish's court. Does he want to get that third base out? Is he going to be aggressive when it comes to the economy? Or is he going to be using the second gas geyser that he's just now taking? And is going to be teching towards something else? 2-base roach play with some banelings to burst down that natural. We can tell that the natural is going to be a little bit delayed for Soul just because he is working on that first initial drop. This drop shouldn't do too much damage, though, with two Widow Mines in it. We don't have a lair just yet, but we do have plenty of Queens out on the field. 3 of them, in fact, one of which is a designated Creep Pooper. Absolutely fantastic. Double Evo Chambers also is going to be able to throw down a Spore Crawler very quickly if those Widow Mines do manage to get burrowed. But with the spawning pool already on the field, how many Zerglings does he have? 3. Oh, yeah, I guess he lost 1 to that rain, but he hasn't really made any more. Usually I go up to like 6 or 10 whenever I'm playing with that early pool just for this occasion, just in case there is some sort of a drop. But I think that Fish has managed to make more harvesters right now than he did the entire previous game. So that's kind of funny. But here comes the drop. 3 Marines, 2 Widow Mines. The Queen is initially rebuffed. Unfortunately, the Widow Mines do manage to get burrowed without those Zerglings there for any sort of quick reaction. It looks like these Widow Mines are going to be doing a hell of a lot of damage. I'd love to see a Spore Crawler starting to be made like right here within range to actually scout them out. And then a fresh swell of Zerglings would be great, but with the Roaches coming out, that too is going to provide a lot of extra damage. These 3 Marines are not going to be enough to take down this hatchery. Even with the medevac there repairing them, oh no. These Widow Mines are going to fire again on these Queens. This is actually a really good play from Soul, trying to bait these Queens into range of those Widow Mines. The first one does fire. The second one's going to pick off this next one, even if it's just by splash damage. And this last Queen is going to fall to these Marines. So 2 Queens lost for a total of 1 medevac. That is brutal, absolutely brutal. And that's a lot of damage. 27 to 31 harvesters though, so Fish, even though he's on 2 bases with that natural, or that main, is going to be taking a lot of heavy damage just from those 3 Marines. I'm really surprised that these Roaches haven't decided to swing over there, and oh no, the Widow Mines are going to clean up every single one of these Zerglings. No. Oh. However, that spells the doom for all of those Marines. So now, hopefully, thankfully, this hatchery will survive. I'm really surprised to see that the Spore Crawler is being made here. I would have made it over here for fear of these Widow Mines actually reloading fast enough. And will it reload fast? No. These guys are fine. They're going to make it. Even this guy's going to make it in time to... Man, that is cutting it so close. Spore Crawler is going to be made, though, and it looks like a handful of Widow Mines are rallying across the map. But with these Roaches here at the front door, really not a lot that they can do unless there is a... medevac that's capable of ferrying them into the opponent's base, and there is a fully loaded medevac is going to be repeating previous transgression. However, now with the Spore Crawler and the Spine Crawler within range of the main, I believe that this one's not going to be as effective as the last time, especially with some more Roaches on the production tab. The initial push from those Widow Mines and those Marines at the front door is rebuffed. However, at the same time, the drop goes down. The Queen's in a lot of trouble. It's probably going to get picked off. Oh my goodness, she has only 50 health. Yes, she does go down. However, the Roaches now do pour in. A Queen, small price to pay for a rebuffed drop like this. However, I would love to see the saturation here come back to normal. This is probably oversaturated over here in the natural, and yeah, he just needs to transition back. He needs to realize that this has been secured now. They don't have to worry about those mines anymore. You can move those guys right on back. Oh, I guess you do have to worry about a mine. That is too funny. I didn't notice he was being burrowed, so that's kind of funny. Stem on the production tab. Let's check out what Soul's doing. Soul's going to be working on a bunker wall, and that's for good reason. He saw all those Roaches back at home, and those Roaches are now out for blood. A lot of damage was done to the economy of our Zerg player, even though he is still technically in the lead. Remember the fact that you can drop a bunch of mules, and look at all this extra energy. Soul's going to be able to skyrocket ahead. These Roaches are going to have no problem taking down these bunkers because they haven't been made yet, and with only Marines... Oh no, we have 4 Marauders on the production tab. These Marines are in for a world of hurt right now, but once those Marauders get out on the field, these Roaches are probably not going to be very effective at taking down these Marines. Remember, we have 1-1 right now. Do we have any upgrades on the Terran? No, we do not. So 1-1 versus 0-0, a lot of Roaches. Stem's not quite done. Combat Shield's not quite done. Soul put in a lot of his economy, a lot of his force into those initial pushes, and did a lot of damage. I mean, he definitely delayed the mining. He denied the mining at the main. As well as picked off a lot of units, making it very cost inefficient for Fish to actually deal with that drop. However, ultimately, Fish does have 2 bases out on the field right now. He did do a lot of damage to the harvester count with that last push. So right now, Fish is in a commanding position. He can definitely afford to throw down a third, transition even farther onto his upgrade lead. 2-2 on the way, 1-1 not even starting right now for Soul. And I would love, just like last time, I would love to see him throw down combat shields somewhere on this. I know that he's going to be making primarily Marauders right now just because he's dealing with a lot of those Roaches. Eventually you have to transition back into Marines. They're so good against Zerglings. Zerglings shred the Marauders. You need a healthy mix of both of them in order for you to be cost effective against pretty much any unit composition that Zerg can throw at you. So you need all of your units to be very cost effective. It's such a cheap upgrade. It's so very effective, especially if you're doing this drop heavy play. Medevac filled with Marines, much better at killing a lot of things very quickly than a Medevac filled with Marauders, with the exception of a handful of things. But you know what I'm talking about. Concussive shells coming out, glial reconstitution, as well as the 2-2 halfway done for Fish. Fish is, he is going to be working on that third. I was wondering what the deal was for that. 4 gas geysers up, and it looks like the economy has recovered for Fish. He's still at 37 harvesters, which is really funny to me. I think he stopped making drones in its entirety right now that he's got those roach worn up. But hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it. We do have another drop coming in, 2 medevacs on the south side of the main. Looks like a lot of marauders. These marauders are going to be very cost effective against these roaches. However, he has to be careful. He can't afford to lose those medevacs with them loaded, and really doesn't want to drop them down directly underneath those roaches. So really good reactions here from Fish, and really good creep spread too. I mean, look at this creep spread. It's nice. It's nice. And with the 2-2 finishing up and glial reconstitution, these roaches are just going to get more and more terrifying. And it looks like Soul does decide to drop, but unfortunately the roaches are right there. And even though those marauders are very good at dealing with roaches, we can see that it's just so heavily in the favor of Fish just because of those upgrades, because he's on creep, because he's got, reinforcing zerglings. This is the composition that I was talking about, a nice 50-50 mix of zerglings and roaches. You can morph them into banelings if you're having to deal with too many marines. You can keep them as zerglings if you're dealing with too many marauders. And with the creep spread there, it's really, really, really hard to deal with if you're Terran without a lot of Widow Mines. We have a Nidus network on the production tab right now. Very clever. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of gas saved up. It's not like he's going to do a Mutilus switch. I'd love to see a Baneling nest being thrown down just as a careful kind of aside. If I have to deal with a huge swell of Marines, I can deal with a huge swell of Marines, get the centrifugal hooks, get into a mineral line, do a lot of damage in a very short period of time. Banelings are so very, very efficient. They're so very effective at dealing with a multitude of situations. However, the Nidus network does fire down, and I love that feature on the minimap, just showing me exactly where it is. +1 ground attack also being started, the melee attack for the Zerg, and not even 1/1, just 1 weapons for Terran, as well as the combat shield being started. The roaches do swing out at the same time. We have a huge force of marauders pushing forward. It looks like the roaches are kind of caught out with their pants down. The zerglings aren't there to support them. It's just roaches right now. A lot of meat shield of the drones swings in. At the same time, the roaches and the zerglings, another half of Fish's army is just going to town on the main base. But this is where rubber really hits the road, and we can just see the upgrade advantage that Fish has right now. 2-2 over 0-0, +1 almost done, but not quite done. Fresh swing of zerglings coming in. That's going to be enough to actually clean up this ground force from Fish. Fish not quite ready to deny his victory. Is going to be going for the drop on the high ground, but with the zerglings there, this is enough to clean that up. At the same time, Zerg has just been ravaging the Terran economy. Back at home, death squad of marauders out on the field, but with the superior concave afforded by the high ground, Fish is going to have no problem just swinging in on top of Soul's marauders and is going to crush that. And I think this is over. You can see that the supply count's almost it's not dumb. That was a good play. That was really nice. He did throw down the Nidus network well within range of all the other units. We're able to see it, I believe. However, that was a really good push up here in the front. I really liked how quickly Soul reacted to the roaches. It was very roach heavy, so he immediately had those tech labs there, had the ability to create those marauders so that first wave was coming out right whenever the roaches were hitting the front door. I really like this playstyle from Fish better than the playstyle we had before, because he was having those Mutalisks coming out at an awkward time. He only had 4 gas geysers, didn't really have enough gas to commit to that tech switch. Here, he had a lot of extra minerals, so hey, he went into those roaches, and that roaches really helped him rebuff those drops that he had a hard time in game 1. Really nice adaptation. I really like it. You know what else I really like? People who watch my videos, so thank you for that. If you have a game you want me to cast, you could PM me here or on Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Big and Scary. Bye.